Okay, geographers, we're going to keep moving. Our long vessel prohibited area. And the first thing you'll notice, difference from the last video, is that I've changed some of the colors here. And it's mainly because that orange pastel thing that it defaulted to with the EEZ boundaries, no thank you. So change that. Um, so I changed some of the colors, but one issue I'm having is you can see, like you cannot escape the Esri pastels. Got this pink and this bluish turquoise thing right here. It's just doing that. I don't know why. And if I hit refresh, it just kind of puts some new ones in some new locations. It's bizarre. I just updated ArcGIS Pro. I don't know if that's what it is. I don't know if it's something else. This happens. Things work in this weird way. I can change that. Now, why is that? Is it still? All right, so I can get rid of that. This polygon EEZ, which really isn't necessary for what I'm doing. In fact, now, all right, now I'm curious. Let's right click, go. You don't have to do this. That's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to see if I change the background color. Does that still do it? Yeah, it does. Mother of pearl. Okay, so whatever. The main point, I bring this up just because if you see me zooming in or refreshing the screen or whatever, and these weird blocks of pastel colors come up, that's not something I'm intending to do. If yours doesn't do that, good. It means you don't have this issue right now. So yeah, we'll see this as we go through. Go ahead and hit save. I'll leave that off. I removed the base map, the world topo map, hillshade, whatever it says, hoping that would do it. I don't know. It's a mess. But what do you expect, right? From software that costs thousands of dollars. You want it to work? Please. Okay, so we got that. Change the symbology. But what we're gonna do is we're actually gonna bring in our points. So went through that Excel table, input the lat long coordinates for our long vessel prohibited areas, the 2002, the 2016 versions. I'm just going to bring in my 2002 table, and I saved the Excel file in the geodatabase 220 folder just to make it easier, to make life easier, so I don't have to go seek it out and find it. So that's when that's there. So make sure you save it in there when you've, completed it. If I open this up, just to check, we talked about this in the last video, but went through and completed the other 3 points. So that AS1B and AS2A, all that, converted the coordinates to decimal degrees, made sure to have the negative value because it's south latitude and west longitude, that object ID. That's just the default unique identifier that the computer attaches to this stuff, so it can do some behind the scenes relational database things. We don't have to worry about that, but that looks good. And so to actually use this, I need to right click, go to create points from table, table to point. Input table is good. This is, actually yours will say like XY. I was playing with this earlier, that's why I saved that. The XY table to point or something like that. I'm going to call this just LVPA 2002 underscore temp for temporary. And I'm going to do that because I'm not going to use this one. I'm actually going to reproject it. Okay, so I'll explain it as we're going, but that's just a little note to me to remember. This is the temporary one. The coordinate system, as we learned last time, looking in the actual government documents where we got the coordinates from, it's just simply WGS 1984 is our datum that was used. So for these points, we're going to use this GCS that it luckily defaults to. So we don't have to seek out and find this thing. Okay, so we're going to just hit OK. Yeah, the stills cannot escape them. But I have these points. Okay, so these up here, these here. I can right click and label. So if I don't, wasn't sure exactly which one was which, I can label them to make it very clear. That's why it's nice to put in that little name field, so there's no question as to which one I'm looking at. I don't have to go back and look at the coordinates and figure it out. It's there. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and hit save because I've done some stuff. But as I said, this is a temporary file. What I want to do is go into geoprocessing, into my tools, and what you can do is, I think I mention this all the time, but either analysis, tools, or just click on the tool thing here to get back to my geoprocessing pane that we have. We did the batch project last time. This time I just want to project. Okay, and because I just have one thing, my input data set is this temp guy. The output data set, what I want to do, if I let the browse thing, is I want to put it here, document, is it here, up here, right? Yeah, okay, at the top. So this is fun. This is where it gets fun. Project, for my project results. If I go up here, databases, this 220, click on that because I want to save it in that American Samoa data set, right? So in here, the name, I'll call this LVPA 2002, and just call this one points. And I'll hit OK, right? And so the output coordinate system, it knows because I'm saving in there, it's saying, oh, okay, you want it to be this world Mercator. Okay, so what I did here, if it wasn't clear, is I hit this browse thing, so I could tell it, don't just save it in the generic main geo database, put it in this data set where I have all my other stuff. Okay, I'm going to hit run, say a little prayer, hope it all works. It worked, beautiful. Now it's doubled up on the stuff, but luckily I have two different names here, so I know this temp one, that's not what I want. Okay, I want this guy right here. Now you might go like, why do we do this? It looks identical, looks like it's the same thing. It's a way to ensure, it didn't take that long to do this. If I go back to my catalog, it's a way to ensure that all these points and lines and polygons and stuff that I have, as well as the new actual LVPA boundaries, are all in the same projected coordinate system to ensure that the computer has to do as little on-the-fly math and calculations as possible, that it's already been done and accounted for, so that when I'm creating features, when I'm analyzing stuff, when I'm doing anything, it's going to be as accurate as it possibly can be, right? I'm not introducing some other possible errors or issues or whatever. I can feel good about what it is I'm doing here. So it may seem tedious, but it's just a nice way to kind of cover my end result to ensure that, yeah, this is going to be good, okay? So that's the plan there. That's why we did that stuff. I'm going to hit save. And this is the same thing you'll do when I'm not going to do the 2016 ones, but you will, right? So same idea here. Bring it in the same way, project it, save it in the American Samoa data set so that it's all good stuff. Okay, got this here. Now, let me pull up our original thing here, the 2002 document where we got these coordinates from. If you read through this, well, A, it's a delight to kind of try to visualize what they're talking about. But B, this is what we need to do. We need to have a sense of like, what do these points mean? We got the points over here, but they're just some points, right? What is the polygon that we're going to create? And what it's saying is, so it's enclosed by, yeah, straight lines connecting the following coordinates. This is our first one, this AS1. So it's these points, and from point AS1A, this guy, westward along the latitude 13 degrees 30 minutes south until intersecting the US EEZ boundary with Samoa. So that 1330 right here is the actual latitude of that point. So what it means is going at a 90-degree angle. If you want to think of it that way, I'll show you what I mean on here. But just going straight horizontally across. Okay? That's the idea. So this line here is, if I can get rid of this, this point. It's from this point, we need a straight line going over here to this boundary. And then it uses this boundary to close that. And there's another straight line, if you read through it, coming back here. And then these are connected. Okay, that's the shape that we're going for. Similar thing here. These are connected and it goes up here and comes over and comes down. Okay, that's the idea. So we need to read through that, get a sense of what we're actually going to be drawing. Now from here, what we need to do is go into the catalog. We're going to create a new feature class, a polygon feature class. I'm going to right click, keep it in this American Samoa thing, go to new feature class. Okay, the name, I'll call it LVPA 2002. If you want, you could do, what is it, Large Vessel Prohibited Area 2002. All right, I think it's Large Vessel, pretty sure. But use the alias to have it make a little more sense when you bring it in. Polygon is exactly what we want. We don't need M values, Z values, any of that. We could go through. I mean, the spatial reference stuff is going to be fixed because it's in the data set. Things like fields, if you wanted to put in a name field or some comments or something like that, you could. You need to think about what you're going to be using it for. Since for my purposes, it was simply just needed that shape on the map so you could visually see it. I didn't need any field. So I'm just going to hit finish because this stuff really doesn't matter for what my intended things are, my intended goals with this. My God, the pastels. But hopefully that makes sense. I just need the shape, so I'm not worrying about attribute table, all of that stuff. All right, so I've got this now, this large vessel prohibited area. I'm actually going to bring it down underneath the administrative stuff. It doesn't matter at the moment because there's nothing here, but I want to be able to still see these islands when I draw this stuff. All right, so that's why I'm dragging it under. So it'll be drawn first, and then the administrative boundaries, the actual land, will be drawn on top of it. Okay, so now let's save. I'm going to refresh, just to kind of clean up my pastel squares. Now I'm going to go into edit. All right, I want to create a new feature, or create something new within this existing feature class. But a few things before I get going. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to hit select, and I'm going to select this EEZ line right here. And it'll become clear when we start working on it why I'm doing that. But that's going to be my first move so that I can use a tool that's going to make life easier down the road here. Okay, so I'm going to do that. For now, I'm gonna leave it like that. There. Now I'm gonna hit create. Okay, and I want to make sure I select my large vessel thing. I don't want to make this in the admin or one of these other ones. This is my target where this new thing is going to go. And I've got my polygon, create a polygon feature thing selected. So what I'll do is I'll just come over to this first point, okay? And it snaps to it. So I'll left click once there. And then I've got, I'm able to draw from here. Now I know, having read that description, that I need to go horizontally, just straight across over to here. All right, and you can see with these little extra lines coming out and that arc that comes through, where it says, I'm not going to move my cursor to show you, but that lower box where it says S for south, 89 degrees, 47 minutes, 1 second west, that's a bearing. That's the direction of my line. What I want that to state really would be south, 90 degrees, 0 minutes, 0 seconds west, to make sure that it's perfectly straight. I could, if I'm just like, for my purposes, this was a map that was going into a book. It wasn't being used for precise surveying boundaries or anything along those lines. It was a reference map. So I could, in theory, leave it like this, click it, and feel good, right? But we're here to learn. And plus, I don't want to be sloppy when it's a job where my name's attached to it and all that. So instead, what I'm going to do, in fact, I'll show you this. Don't do it, but if you right click, you'll see up at the top of this list, direction, deflection, distance, and over here, AFD, these are the keyboard shortcuts that you have. So hit the letter A, or like hit F6 or whatever. Okay, so with this, let me now click out. What that means is if I hit A, it's going to give me the option for direction. Okay, now with this one, because I'm going 90, it could be S90 or N90, doesn't really matter, just because I was on the north side of this. It put the N in there. It's only going to give me the same thing, right? You can leave all these options. The quadrant bearing is what we're using. It's a surveying thing. Gets into what we call coordinate geometry, where you have, like, to read actual surveyed, directions, coordinates, locations, stuff, just survey data. It'll give you this bearing and a distance. So first go north, 90 degrees west for 1,000 feet. Then go north, 46 degrees, 13 minutes west for 200 feet or whatever. That's how that works. So we're just going to put in this 90 and hit enter. And so it's going to fix it so I can't move it up and down. Okay, it's still going to go straight across. And then once I hit this EEZ boundary at that 90 degree angle or bearing right here, it'll snap to it. So I just left click once again, and I've got my beautiful line right here. Okay, so that's our first line going across. Then what I want to do is use what's called the trace tool. So I've got it down here. It's also over here. And so the idea is you're going to continue along making your polygon, but with the trace, wherever you drag your mouse, it's going to snap it to the exact vertices and edge and all of that. So it will be perfect to the pre-existing line. So since I know that this line here is part of my boundary, I want to trace that down here. Okay, that's the idea. So with this one, I'm going to hit, where to go here, trace. And what you need to do, here's the reason why I selected it, is it's going to be tracing a selected feature. So I knew this was something I was going to do. And so that's why I selected it ahead of time, because it becomes a pain to go up and hit select, then your existing work can disappear. It's a whole issue. So I already selected it. And what I need to do is, let me zoom in a little bit more, is pretty close to my existing point here while it's matching the edge. I need to click here, left click once, and then I'm going to drag down here, and it's going to, you see how it's matching that line. It's clicking to these different vertices, as I said, and matching the actual shape. All right, now, all right, here's the problem. I need to follow this line down here, but it's a case where, well, you know, I don't, where do I stop, right? Kind of tricky, because I need another one of those 90-degree lines coming back to AS1B. There's no pretty way I've found to do this, but what I'm going to do is select this, turn on this grid right here. And what this is, it's this imaginary grid that just helps you line stuff up. You can snap to the grid to help with editing and all that. But for this, really what it's doing is it's helping me see where that point is in relation to the side right here. And I'm going to get as close as possible. This is where it gets a little sloppy. But I'm just going to left click down here. Okay, and so I'm just underneath this. And what I'm going to go ahead and do is again, it's already at 90. I'm going to hit enter. Okay, and snap to that point right here. And that looks pretty darn good. And if you don't quite get it, you know, you can go back and adjust stuff. I'll show a few different things that we can do here. So I bring it back here and I double click to fit, swear to God. Oh, because I still have the trace, mother of pearl. It's okay. This is actually fine. So what I needed to do is go back to just create feature, not this trace thing. My fault. It's okay if that happened. So if you do this as well, because you're following along, it's cool. If not, just make sure you select this create feature thing. But what I'm going to do here is just go up to edit vertices, okay, to adjust this. And because this is where I want it, and it looked, everything was good, I'm just going to, anywhere in here, right click, add vertex, and then I'm going to hover over it, and when my cursor turns into this square with the arrows on either side there, I'm going to left click, hold, and drag, and just bring that to that point. Okay, and then I'll hit this finish thing down here, and we're good. So no big deal. Okay, I like that. That worked. I'm going to hit save. Save all edits, you betcha. And I can clear the selection. And so what I've got is that initial boundary for this 2002 LVPA area, but the one down here, right? You're going to do the same thing up here with AS2A and AS2B. It's the same idea. Drag this up. Straight line connecting here, going up here, and going up here, right? You're not going to be going 90 degrees. Think about the math here. It should be pretty clear when you mess with that. But you're going to have another shape that's like that. Now, another thing you could do, if this was not working, one thing you could do, just to show you all the tricks in here, is I could make in this thing another new feature class. I'm going to call this one LVPA 2002 lines. Okay, instead of a polygon, I make it a line feature. I'm not going to worry about the alias. Just going to hit finish. But here, what I can do, my God, pastels, is I can, so with this lines one, I can create new feature, make sure I select that, and I can do a series of lines. So from here, you know, I can click on that, it's going this way. I do the same thing. Hit A, make that 90 and 0, 0, and I just go to where it clicks, right? And then I can just hit finish right there. So I have one line, right? Same thing from here, A, 90, and hit enter. Look at that, it's following along. Gorgeous. If I double click, that'll just end it. So if I uncheck that, let's clear the selection. But see, I can start just drawing the lines. Now, I wanted to do a polygon because of the way I did the hash thing for the map itself. But technically, you could just make a series of lines in here. I can do another one connecting that. I could just leave this as is. I could do the trace thing again, do that, and just have it be lines. I could use this, I could do the lines, and then if I decided, no, I need a polygon, there's some tools in here where you can convert, from line to polygon, that kind of stuff. The other thing is I could just have the lines up, and as I'm making the polygon thing, just trace all of my lines. So I know it's that nice horizontal thing following the latitude there. Okay, so you don't have to do that. But if the polygon wasn't working, couldn't quite get it to work out, that's another way to go about it. So I'll just hit finish here. Let's save all our edits. Yes. Clear selections, so I don't have the turquoise blue selections, but two different ways to accomplish this. But what you're going to do this part here, get that, 2002 boundary for down here, but also up here in the northern section for this other island. Then you're going to bring in that 2016 data, the points, do the same thing, create the points, draw your polygons, but remember, it's much smaller in 2016. We shrunk it down because, do we really want to help local people? So we shrunk that down significantly. And so in this case, you will be drawing little boxes around, so it'll be a little bit easier, right? And what I want you to do is you're going to create a final layout, and you're going to show me that you did this, right? And I'll say what you don't need to do. Well, I tell you what, go ahead, leave in these points and label them, all right? It's not really necessary, assuming this works, but it might actually be helpful just so I can see that A, you were able to do it, and if there's any weirdness with some of the polygons, it doesn't quite line up, I'll see what's going on. So go ahead, make a layout where you have all these points in here labeled. You have the prohibited areas shown. Make it clear. You don't have to have color. And if you're also having this weird pastel thing going on, making it black and white might help. I don't know. Keeping it as simple as possible. Refresh. But if it doesn't work, if there's some weird blue square over the middle, so be it. But just make a clean thing, have a legend so I can see what's 2002, what's 2016. That is what you're going to upload. And once you do this, I want you to realize this is not easy stuff. This is problem solving. This is what you get paid for. It's when you can go from, basically nothing to something, right? Create valuable data and maps and all of that for analysis. So there's a good chance nobody was ever really entirely sure, the fact that I couldn't find any maps with this stuff, just what these boundaries looked like, right? Where do they actually exist? So that's a powerful thing to be able to do. So keep that in mind when you complete it. You're doing some awesome work. Way to go, geographers. I'm proud of you. All right. Have fun mapping.